East. You see, I was born and raised in Lebanon, which used to be the only majority Christian country in the Middle East. We were open-minded, we were fair, we were tolerant, we were multicultural. We prided ourselves on our multiculturalism. We had open borders. We welcomed everyone into our country because we wanted to share with them the westernization which we had created in the heart of the Middle East. Lebanon became Paris of the Middle East, banking capital of the Middle East. Unfortunately, all that began to change when we accepted a wave of refugees into our country, people who did not share our values, but wanted to use Lebanon as a launching pad to kill the Jews and drive them into the sea. Lebanon was the only country in the Arabic world that accepted the third wave of Palestinian refugees. When they came to our country, they wanted to destroy our country. They ended up destroying our country. My 9/11 happened to me in 1975 when radical Islamic Palestinians blew up my home, bringing it down, burying me under the rubble wounded. I ended up in a hospital for 2.5 months. And as I laid in a hospital bed, hooked up to IVs, I would ask my parents, why did they do this to us? And my parents would tell me, because we are Christians, they consider us infidels and they want to kill us. So I learned since I was a 10-year-old little girl that I am wanted dead simply because I was born into the Christian faith and lived in a Christian town. We ended up leaving the hospital and coming back home, but my home was no longer the home I left. I ended up living in a bomb shelter underground in an 8x10 room without electricity, without water, and very little food. And that's where I lived for the next 7 years of my life, from the age of 10 till the age of 17, robbed of my youth. The Palestinian Islamists cut off all water supplies to our town, cut off electricity, cut off food. In order for us to go out and get some greenery, we would go out and dig out dandelions and different greenery that grew around our bomb shelter because it was the only salads we had to eat. To get some water, we would crawl into a nearby spring to get some water because we were surrounded by Islamic Palestinian snipers shooting at us. And every time we left our bomb shelter to the spring to get water, we would say our last goodbyes because we did not know if we're going to come back alive or dead just to get some water. This became my existence. I remember a few years into the war, in the beginning we thought it's going to be a couple weeks, and then everybody's going to see the massacres that the Palestinians are doing to the Christians in Lebanon, how they put their heads together with the Muslims in Lebanon and declare jihad on the Christians, the massacres of children, the slaughter, even the crucifixion of Christian men on crosses. One of the famous city massacres was in the city of Damour in Lebanon, where they massacred the whole town. This barbarism, this Palestinian barbarism is not new. My father would say, all the Christian nations are going to wake up and see what's happening to Lebanon, to the Christians, and they're going to come save us. But nobody came and the world forgot about us. I remember 3 years after living in the bomb shelter, I was 13 years old, and one of our militia, one of our Christian friends stopped by. And he said to me, Brigitte, we heard a lot of chatter on the radio and we believe tonight we are going to be slaughtered. And he said, if I don't see you tomorrow, I wish you a merciful death. And he left. And I remember at the age of 13, dressing in my Sunday best, my Easter dress, because I wanted to look pretty, because I knew that when they come to slaughter me, there would be no one to bury me. And I wanted to look pretty when I'm dead. And I remember my mother combing my long black hair as I sobbed, begging her, I don't want to die. I'm only 13 years old. Please do something. I don't want to die. And there was nothing my mother could say to me.